Federal government gave the service chief a period of 1 year to put an end to any form of insecurity in Nigeria. According to Minister of Defense, Abubakar Badaro has asked them to present a timeline and requirements for ending insecurity across the country. The former Jigawa governor, who assumed duties as defense minister, said his job and that of his junior minister, Bello Matawali, as well as those of the service chief, were at stake if they don't end insecurity in 1 year. I still have Olufemi with me. Olufemi, how realistic is this 1 year mandate to end insecurity in the country? How realistic is this?
One would have expected that the Minister of Defense wait to receive this strategic roadmap and plan as requested from the service chiefs before setting a deadline, because it was in the same country that we were in 2015 when former President Buhari came, and we all thought it was going to be a matter of weeks and months before we end the various issues of insurgency. And that was not just the case. Not only did we migrate from the insurgency in the northeast to other local insecurities, we also had on our hands, by the time the administration was going to be leaving, another major form of insurgency ravaging the northwest, the issue of banditry that is now all over the place. I would expect that the Minister of Defense and, of course, his Minister of State would take time to sit back, considering the fact that they are not also coming from the background of people with military experiences. So to sit down, work with the national security institutions and collectively agree on a timeline rather than giving this deadline, so that we don't end up starting another journey that may not end in the next 8 years like we have seen. So I think the war now must move from the war of words to the war of ideas that is going to be practically confronted by the administration. It must go beyond rhetorical approach of making promises and promises. The war has gone beyond that. The war, it's a serious war that is being fought in the country is almost virtually divided along the line of this insecurity from the top. So it's more serious than certain. It's not like a road construction that you're already seeing where it terminates. Nobody can see the end of this yet until there are practical, and very serious approaches that's going to be taken, and not just by the defense ministry alone. It's going to be an all-encompassing approach, which the president, the defense, the service chiefs, and stakeholders in the country will have to be engaged. In the war against insurgency, you must also look at how well are we going to engage the communities, how well are you going to engage other key stakeholders, that are going to be involved. Otherwise, setting a deadline for 1 year, 6 months, or whatever may not be, realistic.
All right, let's move to Abuja. Mr. Adams, good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening, Nigerians. Good evening. How are you doing?
All right, welcome to the show. I will begin with a question. How realistic is this 1 year mandate to end insecurity in Nigeria?
Sorry, can you take that again? I barely heard you.
And how realistic is this mandate to 1 year mandate to end insecurity in Nigeria?
Yeah, we should be very realistic when we come to security and insecurity projections, because 1 year is too short a time to put an end to an issue that has been, on the ground for more than a dozen years, for 24 years already. We know that the crux of developmental issues in Nigeria has to deal with insecurity, has to deal with how to manage the security situation in Nigeria, and all of that. So we have to come to a point where we think that as a nation, if we have to make progress, we have to deal with every issue that, pertains to us living and going about our lives with every sense of security, every sense of knowing that we are safe at whatever endeavors we put our hands into. So realistically, if we want to put that, one year is not enough to end insecurity in Nigeria, but 1 year is enough to put a step forward to ending every issues that pertains to the security of a nation. And these issues are: 1, the Boko Haram issue; 2, the banditry issue; 3, ESN and some, elements in the Southeast who try to put a threat to our nationhood. So we have to make it a point of duty as a nation to surmount these threats to our collective existence as a nation before we could forge ahead. So to answer your questions, realistically, 1 year isn't enough to end the collective woes that, try to hold us hostage as a nation. But 1 year is enough to lay the steps that we could build upon to end every threat to our our collective insecurity as a people. Thank you.
Taking a step will be, I don't know if you share this idea that the monthly meeting of all the security agencies to promote synergy and any security as set by the Defense Minister, Mr. Badario, is actually a new approach. What do you make of it? Do you think it will aid the step you're talking about?
So, to be honest with you, there's a new dispensation, there's a new administration. The administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is poised towards ending every security challenges that were existing before they came on board. And some of these points entails that we would have to find appropriate measures to wedge between threats to our nationhood, and then also find measures to be able to, restore confidence in the populace that, the administration is poised towards ending every challenge, everything that threatens our collective harmony as a nation. So, answering you, it would be that, the present dispensation has put a blueprint, towards ending insecurity. So one of these blueprints entails that the armed forces of Nigeria, which I should have privy information to, the armed forces are disposed to ending every collective threat to our nationhood. And they are capable, and it takes political leadership on the part of the new dispensation to act in a way that would send a message to everybody who constitutes a threat to our security as a people that, yes, the time. And that
I'm sorry, Mr. Adams, but we really need to go to our last story for today. We are almost out of time.